What I'm about to show is very developer oriented. Again, the reason why I mentioned that or want to mention it right now is this SDK is just that. It's a software development kit. It's meant for, I'm showing you right now, Visual Studio Code to build an agent. I'll say this, and maybe by the time some people listen to this, it may already be out, but um, we're also, or Microsoft is also building a user interface inside of the Foundry Studio. So everything I'm about to show you about instantiating or building an agent is also going to be capable through the IDE, which again is Azure AI Foundry Studio. And that's going to make it so much easier for people because I'm not a developer. I just, pretend to be one. So I know enough how to build things, but for people like me who would rather live through an IDE, that is forthcoming. It should be available, if not by the end of January, which is pretty close. It'll be available within like the first week of February. So we're only talking weeks away. But for now, if you're building things with agents through this Microsoft Agentic AI SDK, this is what you're going to be doing. So the first thing is you have to do a bunch of imports. What is new or what's different? First thing is I'm working through Python here. So you actually have to do an install or a pip install of the Azure AI projects. This is where this thing lives. When I look at these projects, I'll kind of zoom in a little bit here for you. When I and I have to import the AI project, but I'm also importing other capabilities. And you can see this, the AI project models that comes importing the code interpreter tools. So as I mentioned before, when I went through the slide, there's different tools that could be used by these agents. I am also not worried about showing you my connection string because I'm actually using default Azure credentials to execute this agent. So if I scroll down somewhat, like I said, I'm not going to run through every line of code here, but I've got a connection to a project, and I'm not going to make this a tutorial into the Foundry service, but a project is basically you want to think of it as a container for what I'm going to hold as far as resources or objects against a application. In Foundry, by the way, I could use the Foundry SDK, which is different than the Agent SDK, to build these things. But I have a project called AI Basic Project A5WL. I'll explain what that is in it automatically creates projects for you. So we'll put this in the show notes that you can actually do exactly what I'm doing here. So you instantiate a project. You can see that here. I'm creating the project called Project Client. I am then bringing in a tool. In this case, it's the code interpreter. I am then creating an agent. And this is where you give your agent a name. You tell it what model. In this case, I'm using the GPT-4o mini model. The instructions I'm giving in here, not too helpful, but as verbose as you need to as the instructions. And I'm telling it what tools I'm going to be using, which in this case is the code interpreter. So this is probably the most simplistic agent that you'll ever create because it literally is just using one tool, that being the code interpreter. Then you can see the rest of this. I mentioned about threads. So agents, you want to work with threads, and this is how it members the things that you're actually doing within the agent or what the agent should work upon. So I've got here the creation of a thread. I'm doing some print so you can see this actually working, and then create a message giving it a prompt. So the message prompt is, could you please create a bar chart for operating profit using the following data? And if I scroll out to the right, data that I'm telling it to use. So basically, like I mentioned, this is a dumb agent, for lack of better terms, because I'm providing it everything, but I really could have this agent go out to, let's say, a data store, like something like Fabric that I mentioned before, to grab its knowledge. But I'm basically just giving this agent some data in line. Now I'm going to tell it to go run this agent with that thread and with that response. And then basically if you think about what I just told it to do is create a bar chart. There's no code in here that tells it how to create the bar chart, right? That's the whole concept of the agent. I want the agent to understand my question and then use the tool, which in this case is the code interpreter, to create that chart. So I've run this while we were waiting. So you can see the output. So it created the agent, it created the thread. Sorry, I got to get, I'm trying to zoom in so you can see this thing is a little bit better. It created the message, it created the thread, and then it looked at my response, or my prompt, to go do what it needed to do. And in this case, it actually created this file. Again, you can see this here. It put it into my library, but that file is actually the chart. So here's the chart that this model created automatically for me. This agent created the chart based upon the data. So when we talk about what these agents can do, and again, this is a very simplistic demo of it, but I can have this agent ready and waiting to go, and I could, again, have a multi-agentic system where I have a lead agent, or a broker, if you will, that then orchestrates, hey, let me call my chart building agent. Let me call an agent that's going to do a RAG or retrieval based upon data, and then link those things together through that orchestration engine, which again, something like semantic kernel. So the reality of building agents is there today, again, through code, the ability to do exactly what I just showed you through a user interface, through the Microsoft AI Foundry Studio, is coming shortly. So again, game changer on what I think about in terms of building agents, and this is going to be available for everybody to use now and shortly in a UI.